Hello everyone, I'm the Silicon Fox, and I just want to say it is day 1 of 4 for the end of CES. I literally just got home. I've been out all day at the convention center. I only went to the South and Central Hall, and it was crazy, but I'm getting ahead of myself. This video is not going to have any sort of script or any notes prepared, honestly, because I just really wanted to get it done before I left. I actually tried to record this video at the convention center, but I forgot my camera USB cable, so I wasn't able to plug it to my laptop and record when I was there, unfortunately. So that sucked. So now I know what to pack for tomorrow. But I'm getting off track. I'm just still kind of overwhelmed because it's always been a dream of mine since I want to say like 13, 14 to go to CES. I watched, that would have been 2014's. Yeah, I think that was 2014 CES. Some local news broadcast service was not streaming it, but they were covering the event, and it just looked so cool. I mean, all the the normal stuff like the fancy cars and the TVs and all that stuff, but just kind of, I guess, a little bit of the glamour and the glitz. Just, I don't know, jump started my imagination. I'm kind of struggling with words right now. Like I said, I've been out for, I want to say like 14 hours, so I'm running on fumes. So please bear with me. I know this video is going to be rough, and I'm going to try to make it interesting with some of the footage I captured, which I'll get into in a second. But yeah, I really just wanted to break down kind of why going to this event was so important to me, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I genuinely thought that I would never be able to go to CES, that, even if I was able to start a YouTube channel, that I would never get big enough to go. And technically, I'm still not big enough to go, but it was thanks to my Air Lake video that it just so happened to be seen by the right people who didn't sponsor me to go. I wasn't sponsored to go to CES. I still had to pay my way, but they did create the connects for me to get in, so which I'm very thankful for. And to those people, thank you so much. But yeah, just bringing it back, it's crazy because I genuinely thought that I would never be able to go to CES, and I thought that I would have to live vicariously through other content creators who got to go. And I can tell you guys, I started at the South Hall today, and I was a mess. I was really nervous, like my hands were just shaking, because I was really walking into the convention center, rubbing shoulders with other industry titans and just all these really important people. And for a second, I kind of felt like an imposter, like, oh my God, like I'm really here. I'm walking next to, bumping up against all these very, very important people, just to kind of give context, right? I was at one ODM's booth that makes designs for laptop manufacturers, and some guy from Apple, from Cupertino, I forgot what division he worked in, but he was like some C-suite executive, a nice guy, but yeah, I was just standing next to him, chatting up with him, insane stuff, right? And it was just little moments like that, just really blew my mind. I'm really struggling to articulate it because I'm genuinely so excited to talk about it and to show you guys things. But I guess I'll just go back to the beginning. So this morning I wake up around like 7:30. No, I'm sorry. I woke up around like 5 because, again, nerves, couldn't really sleep. Got no sleep the night before. So I'm just, bouncing off the walls. And the convention center doesn't open up for not exhibitors, for industry attendees to go until like 10 a.m. So I'm mainly just waiting around for like 5-6 hours, working on different video scripts, and I'm packing. And when I say I'm packing, I brought like my scale, my calipers, rulers, scissors. I brought an AM4 motherboard. I don't know why I brought a desktop motherboard, but I did, thinking that like, hey, I was gonna like show it to somebody. I don't know why I did, but like I was just so excited, I mean, it was just all nerves. So I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't take this. I'll set this outside. maybe I won't need this ruler. I'll bring this ruler instead. Do I really need a Bluetooth keyboard? Maybe. So I'm packing, repacking, making sure all my camera batteries are charged. I finally leave. Traffic actually was really smooth getting there early in the morning. So that was nice. And that made me even more nervous because I was expecting to be in traffic. So I get there early and they won't let us in because, again, you can't come until 10. So for about half an hour, I'm waiting to go in. And I'm telling you, I was just like really shaking because I'm like, oh my God, I'm really going to walk in. I thought that like I was going to walk up and they were just going to stop me and be like, no, no, you're too pedestrian, too much of a plebe. You can't come in. But obviously they didn't. So I walk in and I want to say for like the first 35 minutes, I wasn't even recording. Like I had forgot to take pictures and record, which is one of the main reasons why I was there. I was really just soaking it in. I remember I got kind of overwhelmed and I felt like I was having not an anxiety attack. I don't have anxiety, but maybe it was some of that. And it was like my heart was beating really fast and I just had to stop and I just had to kind of soak everything in. It was really that overwhelming being there. And I started at the South Hall, which is not even the main hall. So like I didn't walk in and immediately see LG, Samsung, SK Hynix. I didn't see any of these brands there till later on in the day. Where I walked in was for some of the smaller ODMs, distributors, and vendors of that nature. And I walked down, I think it was like the first aisle on the left. I just said, okay, I'm gonna take a random direction. I'm just gonna just walk. So I walked down the aisle and this guy and his son, I wanna say, immediately stopped me. They're from Shenzhen, of course, and super, super nice. They were ODMs for scales. So they made and manufactured different scale designs and different companies would, go through them and white label their designs for their own, something you would find on Amazon or whatever. So he stops me, right? He's like, Mister, come, Mister, come. So they sat me down and he just, trying to sell me on the quality of the scales. And it sounds kind of dumb, but I'm telling you guys, they were so earnest. They were so enthusiastic. Like I almost bought like an MOQ of scales there, like 20 scales or something. It was so crazy. And then, I was telling them what I do from like my channel and stuff and how I like to, go over different products and measure stuff. And again, it was weird. I had my own scale, right? So I pull out the scale and then they're super excited. So they start looking at it, looking at the labels and stuff. And they come to find out they're the ODM for that scale as well. So they made that scale. And so now they're even more excited, right? So, I can't even leave because, they're like, oh my goodness, Mister, what do you think about this scale? How do you think about this scale? I think I saw like 30 different scales when I was in their booth. And I was in the booth for like, I want to say about 20 or so minutes, just chatting about scales, right? And that was probably my second favorite memory so far from day one, was just to talk to these guys and see how excited they were for something most people would see as mundane. How when we start talking about like the specifics of how you would build a device like that, what parts you would need and everything, just like the level of care they had. And it wasn't even really, at one point, it wasn't even about trying to get me to like buy anything. It was just like, oh my goodness, it's great to have somebody who appreciates the manufacturing that goes into, or the engineering that goes into manufacturing these products, right? And it made me feel really good talking to them, and it made me kind of feel legitimate, like, you know what, I should be here. I'm here for a reason. And of course we exchange information, and who knows, maybe they'll send me a scale to review, but that was a great experience. And then after that, I realized, like, oh my goodness, I didn't get any pictures. Well, okay, I lied. I did get a picture of them. They sent it to my WhatsApp, and I'll put that up on screen. It was really funny. So after I left their booth, I started walking around just some more. I went to what do they do? They were an PCB design company for embedded automotive hardware. So like car displays, like the touch displays in cars. Other types of embedded displays, they did the actual PCB design of it. So I was talking to them, and we were just talking about, like trace integrity and how difficult it can be to like really extend traces out and have data still flow correctly. That was great. Really cool guys as well. I mean, obviously nothing for me to buy from them since they ship directly to system integrators, but it was super fun. And that whole section, man, everybody that I talked to from Shenzhen was amazing. All these like even the business people, engineers, just the passion they had about the products, even if they were white label products, even if they were just, like OEM stuff, they were still really enthusiastic about it. Not even to sell, they just really wanted to talk about it. And that was great because a lot of times you go to places and people don't want to really talk unless you're buying, but that wasn't the case here. And it felt, like I said, it felt really good to just talk shop with all these different industry veterans, I would say, not famous or anything, but they've been doing manufacturing or they've been doing design for like 20 something years, absolutely crazy. So after I got done with the automotive people, I walked around a little bit, just taking pictures, taking in the sights. And then, oh yeah, I found OneXPlayer's booth. They were sharing it with another company, excuse me. So I go in there, it's kind of early in the morning. I'm looking at what they've got out. Nothing, I mean, it's everything we've seen so far, like the G1, they had the X1 was there, X1 Mini was there, and the OneXPlayer EVA model, the one that we can't get in the States, unfortunately. Shame. Anyways, they're all there. They're all on display. I'm taking pictures and stuff, and it's really cool. And I talked to one of the reps in the morning, and I'm like, hey, I'm asking about the OneX Sugar. And for those who don't know, the OneX Sugar is like an upcoming handheld. It was announced on Bilibili by Sugar Cube, that company. It's going to be like some Android SoC, probably like a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 or something. I don't know. The controllers like flip up and you can change it around. I'm going to interlay the video over here, the trailer, for you so you can kind of see what that looks like. But yeah, I talked to them and I knew they had a prototype there. Now it wasn't on display because we couldn't take any pictures of it, but I had saw them like reach underneath their cabinet and they like pulled it out to show somebody else. I think the guys from Steam Deck HQ. So Noah and Arthur were there. So I saw them kind of flash it to them and I was like, oh, that looks exciting. And then they said that if we come back in the afternoon, they're going to, they're going to show it off again. We can come see it. So I said, bet. So I made that mental note of that, right? And I came back later, a couple hours later, and I was again chopping it up with the people, taking more pictures and stuff. Hopefully my pictures aren't too bad. At the time of recording right now, I haven't actually looked at them in depth. So when I go to quickly edit this video and intersperse stuff in, I'm going to see how bad of a job I did. But anyways, I'm saying, I talked to one of the reps and I'm like, hey, big fan of what you guys do. Can I see the OneX Sugar? And so they start talking to each other and they're like, okay, you can see it. No pictures, right? No pictures. So, I had to Scouts honor, pinky swear, put my camera away, phone in my back pocket. So I get to, and I hold it in my hands. And guys, I'm telling you, I felt like a kid again, right? It's a prototype. It didn't even turn on. It was just a physical prototype. And the mechanism for switching the controllers is really intuitive. Now, software-wise, I don't know how it's going to work because obviously, again, it was nothing like that. We'll expect more when Indiegogo comes out or if they do any press events. Folks will let us know. But man, that was just amazing to hold in my hand this prototype. And we get to talking about it, the engineering behind it. And like before I realized it, like I don't even feel like I'm talking to reps of a company. I just feel like I'm talking to, someone online that shares the same interests as me. And I'm talking to, I guess he was one of the main hardware engineers. And we're going back and forth. And I start telling about how my original Intel OneXPlayer 1S that I had. I was one of the first Indiegogo backers for that. And believe it or not, that device got me through college at the time. I had put all my eggs in that basket and everything because I was just so starstruck by it, you know. And that was the only laptop I had for a while I was in college. And I was telling them this, right? And not only that, but I was telling them like, hey, I took mine apart and everything, and I really appreciate the engineering that went into it. Not just, you guys using the pick and place machine to put the parts down, but you could tell that that was an in-house design, and they really focused on the intricacies of the traces that went from component to component. If you actually go back and look at that main board, you'll see that it's got better trace work than some of their newer products that they've had done by different ODMs, right? So it was great. So we were talking about that, and they were really surprised that I knew about that, and I was like, yeah, this is very important to me because we take the engineering for granted. Even bad products, right? Even bad products, handhelds that have like no battery life, we take the engineering that went into it for granted. And I was telling them this, right? And I was like, I really do appreciate it. I mean, I can tell that if you look at the main board, you guys really thought about like where you guys put a lot of thought into where like power delivery phase inductors and capacitors should go, how the board itself needed to be how the board itself needed to be laid out for the cooling solution to actually be effective, because a few millimeters over to like the left and like, everything changes. So it was great. And it was funny because I ended up taking a picture with the CEO. In fact, oh my goodness, I don't have the picture yet. I'm going to send a text after this video. Hopefully they'll send it to me before I start editing it. But it was so funny, and it was so nice to meet those guys. And I doubt they're gonna watch this video, but if they do, I just want to tell the OneXPlayer team, you guys are doing a phenomenal job on the engineering side. Don't forget about the software, of course, but the engineering is looking really solid, and I look forward to what you guys are doing next. And again, that was a really just, I don't know, guys. I just want to say kind of like awe-inspiring moment for me because, here I was like shaking hands with the CEO, and I was actually talking to him, granted through someone to translate for us, but we were going back and forth. And I could tell he really appreciated the insights that I had about the products. And I let him know like, hey, I really appreciate what you guys like do. People take these boutique hardware manufacturers for granted, but I mean, they've done a lot for this niche and really this subgenre of devices that I appreciate. Handheld PCs, yeah, you can say it's getting a little boring, a little saturated, but they're still chugging along. We're still getting great designs, and we're still having great engineering done. Now, like I said, there's more to be done, of course, right? Software side's got to catch up, partly to blame Microsoft, but when you talk to these guys, it was not about selling a product. I promise you. Like everybody who was on the show floor, it was really not about selling a product or saying, hey, go to our Indiegogo. I think when I spent a total of maybe like 40 minutes there between in the morning and coming back in the afternoon, and one rep only mentioned Indiegogo about 3 times. That was it. Rest of the time it was talking like, hey, try the product out for yourself. What do you think about it, right? I mean, what can we change? What can we improve? It was very down to earth, and I wish I could have recorded the interactions better, but I think you guys would have actually liked to hear what they were actually saying. It was a very genuine conversation they wanted to have with attendees at the trade show. And like I said, a lot of companies were like that. But long story short, I enjoyed my time at the OneXPlayer booth. I'm definitely gonna try to go again, maybe just to get some more pictures if I can't get this one sent. But other than that, really fun. Now, after that, I again was walking around some more, getting pulled into more random booths. It was so much stuff there, right? Batteries for medical devices. There was things like, lots of, peripherals. My goodness. Lots and lots and lots of peripherals and accessories, USB-C cables, phone cases, uh, Bluetooth speakers, just things that you would kind of see at a flea market. And I was a little bit surprised to see them there because I was like, wait a minute, people came here to, like hawk this kind of stuff, like phone cases and your lightning cables for your iPhone. It was funny to me because you would think that like, hey, I'm at CES, I'm gonna see like the most cutting edge stuff ever, but no, you really didn't. You really didn't see that here. It was a lot more. What's what I'm looking for? A lot more products in development, a lot more embryonic stage stuff, and of course, like I said, the accessories. Sorry, like I said, mine's a blur. Trying to think about what came after that. After I got done looking at phone cases all day. Oh, of course, I went to Central Hall. Yeah, so everything I just described was in South Hall. I then went to Central Hall, which was where all the main events were. Your Sony's, LG, Samsung, etc. upon etc. upon etc. And that booth, I'm torn because Central Hall was parts exciting and parts disappointing. Now I say both because again, parts exciting because I've seen people walk through this hall years upon years upon years, like years on end. I've seen different YouTubers and everything walk through this area, news people from CNET, all that stuff. So it was cool to be walking in their footsteps and holding my camera up and seeing the same things they were seeing. I was such a tourist there. It was so embarrassing. I was definitely out of place, man. Anyway, so I go to Central Hall, and first thing that catches my eye when I'm walking through is the what was it? Like I forgot the brand. I have a video of it, but it was like this AI smart home. It was so much AI in Central Hall. Central Hall was AI Central. It should have been called AI Hall. Yeah, everybody had an AI thing, right? AI TVs, AI. It was like an AI smart conference room, AI living room. I mean, it was crazy stuff. And was it really AI? I'll let you be the judge of that. It was mostly marketing hype and buzz speak. So I was disappointed about that. And then, oh yeah, I remember my thought now. It was very gaudy in Central Hall. I mean, it was just like, it felt like they were trying too hard. A lot of the booths, very flashy. Hiring people to do dances and stuff. There was a DJ there. I think it was Steve Aoki. I'm not into that style of music, so I have no idea. But it was like some long Asian guy, no, Asian guy with long hair and a backwards hat, I think. So yeah, and it was it was jumping. People were up in there, yeah, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, man, am I at CES or like am I at like a rave or something? So that was cool, I guess. It was kind of hard to walk while that concert was going on. Then I went to, there was this car company that I don't remember the name of, but they had a really huge presentation. They had their smart car out there, and it was like a live conference or keynote, I think. So they had a stage, and then the CEOs walking on the car talking about it. There were a few rows of seats, and then behind that was everyone else who couldn't get in. And so we're all looking, and everyone was excited about whatever he was talking about. I tried to look, but I mean, it was people upon people I could not get through. And I think I have a video of that somewhere. Again, I have to go through all my footage tonight. Crazy. But yeah, that was exciting. And then TCL. Okay, TCL was really weird. So they had this. Well, of course, they had like their TVs, their mini QD LED. No, QD mini LED TVs. So those were cool. Nice. And then they had like this weird AI robot baby thing that rolled around and made Goo Goo Gaga noises and looked at you and tracked you. It was so creepy. It was like I was actually not getting the uncanny valley, but I could feel the mirror neurons in my brain just going off. Like the hair was standing up on my arm. Something was wrong with that image, man. I don't know why you would want that in your house, personally, if it was me, right, I wouldn't bring that in my house. I'm just saying, right? Just saying. But you know, hey, you do you. So they had that, and then they had this. It was like, okay, this is really weird. It was a combo washer and dryer pod, essentially. So it was like the small little thing you plug in, and it washes and dries your clothes, and then it does like a UV disinfecting drying as well. But it sounds cool. But the thing was tiny. It was like the size of a mini fridge or something, and you could only put like one piece of clothing in at a time. And so I'm looking at it, I'm like, dang, this thing is tiny. So I asked the reps, I'm like, hey, how much power does this draw? You know, so it took a minute for them to answer because of the language barrier. But it was like 1.5 kilowatts or 1,000 watts, essentially. This little thing that I'm gonna put up on screen was drawing 1,000 watts from the wall. And I'm like, dang, that's, you know, my gaming PC with the 4090 doesn't draw 1,000 watts on load. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think I draw 1,000 watts on load. So I was like, that's crazy. And I'm thinking, so you might be saying, okay, well, Fox, you gotta remember, you know, if it's a combo unit, your washer and dryer can potentially draw thousands of watts themselves, which is true. A Samsung washer can draw about like 2,000 watts, they said, depending on the model. But then you have to remember, right, they're very efficient in their cycles as well. So it's not just straight pulling 2,000 watts from the wall. From what I gathered from these guys, how they were talking, it was like when this thing is running, its load, it's 1,000 watts out the wall, 1,000 watts out the wall. I'm like, 1,000 watts for one piece of clothing. Could you imagine like throwing a t-shirt in, because you can only wash one thing at a time, you know, maybe 2 or 3, but it's very small. The internal spot, ooh, did I take a picture of that? Okay, I don't know if I took a picture or not, but the internal volume is super small. So you're washing at most 5 articles of clothing. 1,000 watts for 5 pairs of underwear. You gotta be insane, right? That's a lot of energy to burn. So one of the reps I talked to, they were like, yeah, I'm kind of with you. That is a lot of energy. So that was cool. I was glad to just see some honest discussion, you know, about the products and some of the shortcomings, because yeah, we're at CES, but you know, this is the time to workshop different ideas and bring things to the, I guess, consumer zeitgeist is the right word. So yes, TCL, if you're watching, please go back to the drawing board and think about how to make that more efficient. Yeah. So after TCL, I went, oh, yes. I do not remember the name of the booth I went to, but I have a few pictures and I've got the business card somewhere, so I'll probably put the name on screen or whatever. These guys did a bunch of stuff. So they had like 3D printing solutions. They were an OEM / ODM for embedded platforms. So like if you needed digital signage or computers that went into wall panels, or computers for for what's what I'm looking for environments that aren't too sterile, like in a CNC shop or some kind of mechanic shop. They did PCs for that. So it was really cool to see that. And I got to chopping it up. I won't forget this guy's name. His name was, I believe his last name was Mr. Springfield, Donnie, if I'm not mistaken. He was so cool. My goodness, man. He kind of reminded me of Wendell from Level 1 Techs. Very distinguished, very personable. We were talking about Computex because I was telling him like, hey, I'm planning on going to Computex. And he was he was giving me like different food places to go when I'm down there, like telling me like what night markets to go to and everything. I really enjoyed my conversation with them. Industry veterans, just nice people who understood technology and who had been around to kind of give me the sage wisdom about everything that I was experiencing, right? Because I can say, you know, I know a decent amount about different pieces of technology and the intricacies of my niche. But obviously I don't know everything. And it was so good to talk to these industry veterans that do know everything, and that can kind of put me on game. So like I said, I really enjoyed my time doing that. I felt like I really learned a lot today, and it was just so great. And after that, I kind of walked around. Oh, right, don't forget, two handhelds I saw. Okay, well, one and a half. I went to Six United. They're an ODM. They do. They design. They design white label devices for different companies. Like they do some for Microsoft, for Asus. They have some designs for Asus. And they also have some designs for other boutique hardware manufacturers too. So they had their mini PC. No, I'm sorry. Well, they did have mini PCs, but they had their PC handheld design out. And I was just kind of playing around with it, holding it up. Obviously, they wouldn't turn it on because it was, white label prototype. And it was just so cool to see like how interconnected all this is. How many times things change hands from the manufacturer all the way to the ODM, the OEM, all the way till it gets to us. It was so cool. And then I went to one booth. It was two ladies who were, they basically like were an accessory maker for consoles in, how do you say this? They were an ODM for console accessories, and they did bespoke gaming handheld platforms too. I'm making that sound more fancy than it actually is. Basically, they design and they sell white label Android and what's Android and Linux handhelds. Yeah, sorry, it's weird. And the reason I bring it up is because they had a reference design there, or actually, yeah, it was reference design. Again, I couldn't take pictures of it, and I was like, I really wanted to like kind of go away far and like kind of take like a long shot picture of it, but I wanted to respect the lady. She sent no pictures, so I didn't take any pictures of it. But it was really cool. So it's a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 platform with it's like a 7-inch screen. You can, let me see, 7-inch screen, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. It's got 8 gigabytes of LPDDR4X. And then, yeah, that's it. It's running Android. Anyways, I thought it was really cool. I liked the design. It was very light. The Joy-Cons are kind of Joy-Cons. The controls on the side, the controls, I guess, are kind of big and kind of fat, but it's still really light in the hands. I wish I could have gotten to weigh it. I would have waited for you guys, but I had to say it's probably like around 320-ish grams if I had to give a very rough estimate. The reason I bring it up is I'm very excited because they did confirm that a company very soon is going to be essentially showcasing it as their own product. I couldn't get them to reveal what that company was, but I'm going to reach out to them privately through WeChat and see if I can confirm and what else, other information I can get, because that was very exciting. I think if that comes and it's marketed for a good price, it's going to go crazy. Oh, right. Duh. Why am I so excited? Yeah, it was. So it costed $70 for every unit from the factory. So their minimum order quantity is 1,000. And each of those units cost $70. So I'm kind of excited. Oh wait, in fact, I have a picture of it. Well, it's a picture in their catalog, but yeah, I'm gonna show you a picture of the catalog. I'll put this on the screen. So yeah, that was super great. I was like, oh my goodness, I really wanted. I don't want to let it go, and so what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna see if I can like just buy that prototype off of them. I don't think it works. I think it's a dummy unit. But I'm going to see if I can buy the prototype off of them, or if they'll just sell me one unit itself, So that's the good thing about CES too. If you're into, trying to make some deals and whatnot, that's a way to do it as well. So I'm really going to try to get a piece of hardware to review. That's my goal. All right. Well, my first goal was to network, but my second main goal, all right, this is my next main quest objective. I've got to get a piece of interesting hardware from one of these vendors to review that's applicable to my channel. Now, the scale guys, they were talking about sending me things to review, but I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how to review a scale. I'm sorry. So no. I'm gonna try to maybe get like a motherboard in, a white label mini PC. You know, see what their BIOSes look like. You know, preferably I want a handheld prototype. You know, I'm gonna really reach out to these guys and be like, look, what sort of deal can we cut? I like what you guys are doing. I'm not a business. I can't order 1,000, but I know you can give me one off of the back of a pallet. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, yeah, that was kind of it. That was kind of it. You know, I was chilling the rest of the day, just going back around, taking pictures. I took a lot of ambient walking video just to kind of soak it all in, just to have. And I'm gonna apologize now. I am not a videographer, and I'm learning like, man, I've got a lot to do before I can really elevate my channel. I'm very behind. You know, I'm behind my peers in this sense, because it doesn't help to really know so much about technology and be like all articulate and well spoken if I can't even clearly present the information to you. So that was one thing I was disappointed in myself about today. It was, you know, I was just mad that I couldn't take good video on my camera, and it's user error. It's my fault. You know, I'm just like, I'm shaking a lot. I don't have a gimbal. You know, I didn't think to invest in that kind of stuff before I went to CES. So I'm just walking around and I look so unprofessional, and that's something that I really want to rectify the next time I go to one of these kind of conventions. Hopefully Computex in May, fingers crossed. But yeah, that's it, you guys. I'm sorry this is so informal, but it was just a crazy day for me, and like I almost felt like crying. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was like, I can't believe I'm actually here. Like a kid going to Disneyland for the first time when they've really been wanting to go. And that was my Disneyland, you know. Everything. I enjoyed everything. I mean, whether it was talking to the scale guys or, you know, talking to people who designed the housing for USB drives. It was all just a blast. And I talked to one guy who's been in the industry. He's been in the industry like 30 something years. It's like his 31st CES, something like that, he said. And, you know, he's telling me about how, like, yeah, you know, after a while, it gets not exciting, and, you know, the luster wears off. And maybe it's because I'm naive, and he was a cool guy, by the way. He was a very cool guy. He put me up on a lot of game and helped me to kind of he helped me to kind of know where to go to expand my network. But that was the one thing in my mind. I'm thinking like, man, I hope I don't get like that. Like 30 years from now, I still want to be excited about CES and Computex and IFA and all these events as I am today. You know, just to be in a room of other like-minded industry professionals, to see physical hardware out in the open that you can touch, that people are demoing, that it's there. I mean, you see it. It's great. And like, I love the high production CES stuff. I love it. It's great. It's fun. But the little guys was the most important part to me. That's what I really resonated with. Seeing all these smaller independent businesses. I mean, then loads from Shenzhen that had their own section for China. Seeing all those guys and they're like all tucked away. It was awesome. It was really cool talking to them. You know, I mean, hey, sometimes we were talking through Google Translate, but I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow and the rest of the days. And I'm hoping that you guys are looking forward to my coverage as well too. I plan to make some more well-produced videos, of course, about CES, but after the event, because like my video backlog is gonna be pretty heavy. So expect CES content probably throughout the month of January. But other than that, day one down, everyone. I'm feeling really good about day two. I'm gonna get off of this quickly, edit this really dirty, put it up, and then I will see you back around this time tomorrow for my recap of day two. Other than that, you all have a beautiful morning, evening, or night. And this is the Silicon Fox signing out.